He lived and walked among us. In fact, you might have even bumped into him at a Bucks game. Bob Mazur was a husband and father who lived in a Bay Area suburb, but also had a secret life. A life filled with limousines, private jets, and lots of money. Drug money. That's him in front of the plane with the dark hair and the suit next to the pilot. But he was no criminal. He was one of the good guys who managed to infiltrate one of the most dangerous cartels, moving hundreds of millions of dollars a year. He exposed and then helped take down one of the biggest and most sophisticated money laundering operations of all time. It's all chronicled in a fascinating book, appropriately titled The Infiltrator.
To my friends, I was Bob Mazur, a federal agent. To the underworld that dealt with me undercover, I was Bob Musello, a player in one of the most violent Colombian drug cartels on earth. I've committed more crime than many people sitting in prison for the rest of their lives. The good news is I was authorized to live that life of crime by the U.S. and several other governments.
I'll tell you, as good as any John Grisham novel, but it's all true. He joins us now this morning by telephone, and for security reasons, he doesn't want his face shown. Good morning, Bob.
Good morning.
We want to get into your story, talk about your life undercover, what you're doing now, and how this story will soon be turned into a Hollywood movie, and of course all the Bay Area connections. But let's start with, you were a federal agent with more than 2 decades of experience, the IRS and the DEA. You worked on a lot of cases, but none bigger than this Operation Sea Chase, as they called it when I read the book. Tell me about that.
Yeah, it was by far probably the most significant case that I got the opportunity to work on. I had been an agent for 14 years before I volunteered to be a long-term undercover agent, which is the role that I played in that operation. I got the opportunity after going through that undercover school to spend a year and a half putting together what I think is one of the more sophisticated fronts that have been used in long-term undercover. I had a completely new identity. I was embedded in real live acting businesses, an investment company, a mortgage brokerage business. We had an air charter service with a private jet, a jewelry chain with 70 locations on the East Coast, and even a brokerage firm with a seat on the New York Stock Exchange. We
have some pictures that we're showing, and we have a picture of a box that's labeled anchovies and some suitcases. Explain the meaning behind those photos.
Yeah, well, the suitcases full of cash were a typical transaction in the day for me as I worked within the black money markets operating around the world. We would receive anywhere from, could be $1 million, $2 million in currency on a given occasion on behalf of the Medellin cartel. And it was our job to get that cash converted into negotiable instruments or exchanged for other currencies and then distributed around the world to companies that they operated. That technique was used to infiltrate their command and control, because when you follow the money, it brings you to the people who really are in charge of these very sophisticated drug organizations. And in this instance, I was given details about the fact that there were front companies, very sophisticated front companies around the world, including an anchovy packing plant in Buenos Aires that was used as a means of transporting tons of cocaine at a time.
The trap to ensnare these bad guys happened in Innisbrook?
Yeah, that's true. And we had to come up with a plan to be able to draw people from around the world to their arrest. We began to put the word out that I was going to be getting married, and we really went through the process without telling anybody in Innisbrook who we were. And people came from Pakistan, from Colombia, from the UK, from France.
That's where it all ended. Now, you lived in the Bay Area. You tried to maintain a normal life throughout this entire undercover operation. And
really, when I was working undercover, I was principally living in Miami. So either Miami or New York were my bases of operation, although I traveled all over the world, really. I did as little undercover work in Tampa as I possibly could, because it was definitely rolling the dice for me to be going on the streets of Tampa and potentially running into somebody who knew me.
The book certainly is a fascinating read, and now I understand there are plans to make it into a movie?
Yes, there are. I entered into an agreement with a fellow by the name of Brad Furman, who is a well-respected director. I think the last thing that he did, major thing that he did, which also has Tampa ties, is the movie The Lincoln Lawyer, which is based upon a Michael Connelly novel, Michael Connelly living in Tampa. But Matthew McConaughey was the star in that. But that same team that was involved in directing that has now attached to this project.
Okay, well, thank you for being with us this morning. A great book and a fascinating life you've led. Again, thanks for being with us, and be safe.
Okay, take care.